Hey guys, this is Cannabis with Kym B. I'm filling in for Jimmy Young. He went outside to the bathroom. He's a funny duck. But I just have to tell you, I'm the CMO of Tribe Tokes, and I also love pro cannabis media.
Before we get to the B block, we have breaking news out of New York. I'm PCM founder Jimmy Young. New York Governor Kathy Hochul has seen enough from the current administration of the Office of Cannabis Management. The Green Market Report and the New York Times are reporting that the head of the commission, Chris Alexander, has been asked to resign. Now, besides that news, the commission still issued 104 licenses in all categories: dispensary, grow, manufacturer, and distributor this week. And now, Mayor Eric Adams warned the illegal shops operating in his city that he has a lock with their name on it. The city did shut down 20 operations over the past week, but still has another, 2,500 odd illegal storefronts to deal with. That's the breaking news in the B block. Now we go back to Alaina Pinto for more of Weed Talk News.
Hi everyone, I'm Alaina Pinto and welcome to the B block of Weed Talk News. Remember, if you want to watch our entire news show, it is available on Mondays on the procannabismedia.com website. Now let's turn to New York, a state that continues to deal with over 2,500 illegal stores in the city. This week, Mayor Eric Adams proclaimed that he is ready to shut down non-licensed stores and already shut down 20 of them this week. Now that law enforcement has been backed up by their governor and the mayor, police feel more comfortable putting on locks on the doors of those illegal shops. That crazy scene didn't stop, though, the New York Cannabis Parade on the last weekend of April. It was the 51st parade that used to be an act of civil disobedience and is now just a celebration of how far New York has come, even though the city is overrun with illegal storefronts. One of the organizers of that parade is Steve Bloom, the Celeb Stoner, and he puts it in perspective now that the state is officially legal.
I'm Steve Bloom, publisher of Celeb Stoner and a former editor of High Times, reporting for Weed Talk News. I also wear another hat as director of the New York City Cannabis Parade and Rally, which took place last Saturday, May 4th in Manhattan. It was the 51st annual Cannabis Parade, which was founded by the Yippies in 1973 as a march and a smoke-in. Now that marijuana is legal in New York, the event has pivoted to more of a celebration than a protest. We won in 2021, ending prohibition in New York State, and we're still celebrating. What's also different about the event over the last 2 years is our partnership with the City of New York and Cannabis NYC. Whereas in the past, we were a thorn in the side of city officials and NYPD, we now have their full backing and work together. Let's say it's been a long, strange trip to get to where we are today. Saturday began as a speak out in Herald Square, where the parade contingents, floats, and other vehicles assemble. The march south zigzags its way to Union Square Park and arrives there at 1 p.m., where we have a stage and a marketplace of sponsors and vendors. A who's who of contemporary cannabis leaders made speeches, and there were performances by rapper Havoc from Mobb Deep, Grammy-nominated guitarist Raul Madan, and others. Backstage, a former pro hoopster, Lamar Odom, and other celebs showed up. All of our sponsors were affiliated with the new legal market in New York, and many were retail licensees, several of whom got to speak about their experiences in a city that's inundated with unregulated stores. The Parade and Rally is an expression of the new legal market, and we support that 100%. The day ended with a fantastic after party at the THC Museum in Soho. Overall, it was a success with good weather to boot. We couldn't have had asked for more. That will do it for the New York City Cannabis Report. I'm Steve Bloom reporting for Weed Talk News.
Minnesota was the 23rd state to legalize adult use of cannabis last year, and now the regulatory structure is being debated. One group that is determined to take advantage of the new legal climate in that state is 10 tribes of indigenous natives. They are not bound by federal laws, but they are cooperating with state officials on the licensing and rulemaking process. That state is even considering allowing the tribes to enter urban locations off their tribal land. No worries about that in California, still the nation's #1 cannabis market, and it's where LeVanna Vassau reports from every week.
I'm LeVanna Vassau from the Bay Sesh, reporting for PCM with this week's California report for Weed Talk News. Union membership and participation is growing in California. Following a nasty union busting campaign from their employer, workers at Nabis Warehouse in California have voted overwhelmingly to join Teamsters Local 630. The 84 new Teamsters work as drivers and warehouse associates. Teamsters recruits and United Food and Commercial Workers are the two most active in the industry. This came a few weeks after Ease, one of the biggest delivery services in the state, averted a strike called for on 4/20, ending 9 months of negotiations. The much anticipated new social equity funds are finally getting distributed. Funds specifically designated to help social equity licensees to launch businesses have been given out to 13 districts in the state, including San Francisco, Oakland, and Coachella. Despite widespread corruption of these social equity programs, they are still important and necessary to give opportunity and access to an entry into the very costly industry, especially for those affected most by the war on drugs. New Jersey Democratic Senator Cory Booker visited the Natura facility in Sacramento, Northern California's manufacturing and distribution hub. There was a raid on a smoke shop in the Marin County city of San Rafael, which is slightly ironic because Marin County is home to what was the country's first medical dispensary back in the 90s, the Marin Alliance, founded by a woman named Lynette Shaw. However, medical patient caregiver collectives like the Marin Alliance all over the state went out of business when Prop 64 Adult Use Act was introduced because they did not meet the new zoning and other regulation standards created by local jurisdictions. In the case of Marin County, despite the people of Marin voting to have dispensaries, the local government vetoed the people's choice and restricted the cannabis retail sales to delivery only. That's all I got time for today. I'm LeVanna Vassau from the Bay Sesh, reporting for PCM with this week's California report for Weed Talk News.
The two most recognizable names in the cannabis industry are Cheech and Chong. The legendary comedic actors from California continue to be two of the most well-known faces and names in the recent legal movement. And now they return to Arizona with their products, thanks to a deal with Oz and Jars Cannabis. With more from Arizona, here's Karen Black.
I'm Karen Black from Greenfinger Consulting with the Arizona Cannabis Report for Weed Talk News. And I've got some exciting news. Cannabis and comedy icons Cheech and Chong are making a grand comeback to the Grand Canyon State. The legendary duo has teamed up with Oz Cannabis and Jars Cannabis to bring their iconic brand back to Arizona. Fans have been eagerly awaiting the return of Cheech and Chong's signature strains and edibles, which are now available statewide at Jars dispensaries. Talk about a blast from the past. In business news, Phoenix-based Tilt Holdings has secured a $10.5 million promissory note from an undisclosed experienced retailer and operator for its Pennsylvania Standard Farm subsidiary. Tilt plans to use the funds to establish and build out 3 retail locations in the Commonwealth. As we previously reported, the Wesson Freedom Team initiated a petition in late 2023 named the Wesson Gun Equality Act. They claim it's a violation of both the Second and 14th Amendments to deny medical card holders gun ownership. The petition needs nearly 256,000 signatures by July 3rd, less than 2 months from now, to qualify for November's ballot. I spoke with the originator of the petition, John Taylor, to get an update. He hasn't gotten the traction he'd hoped, perhaps because the petition can only physically be signed in Kingman, Arizona, and he's now considering avenues to make it a legislative rather than a ballot measure this fall. Mr. Taylor also started a second petition, the Wesson Medicinal Act, which would eliminate criminal charges for medicinal mushroom card holders and decrease the penalty for use by non-card holders to misdemeanors. We'll continue following both. And finally, the health department has recalled a batch of the flower shop's onion bahi flower for testing positive for aspergillus. All product has been pulled from store shelves and no illnesses have been reported. That's all for this week's Arizona Cannabis Report. I'm Karen Black from Greenfinger Consulting, reporting for Weed Talk News.
Another positive sign on the DEA's decision to start to move cannabis onto Schedule 3 is that the publicly traded stocks have exploded. When it comes to the stock market, we turn to Doug Miller, who is high on Wall Street.
I'm Doug Miller from High on Wall Street with this week's Cannabis Stock Report for Weed Talk News. Green Thumb Industries, a leading national cannabis consumer packaged goods company and owner of Rise Dispensaries, reported its financial results ending March 31st, 2024. Let's go over some of these numbers. First quarter revenue of $276 million increased 11% over the prior year period. Cash at quarter end of $244 million. Cash flow from operations of $84 million increased 12% compared to quarter one of 2023. They purchased 1,067,000 subordinate voting shares for a total of $13.6 million. Let's look at the balance sheet because that's what's really important. They have $419.7 million, including cash and cash equivalents of $223.9 million. Total debt outstanding was $309.9 million, consisting of long-term mortgages and $223.7 million in senior debt. The company is current on income taxes payable. This is one of the very few cannabis companies that's profitable, and they are for a reason. They're making smart decisions, and they're focused on quality and not expanding too fast. So let's look at the stock chart. It's trading around $12.85, and it's curling up on this news. Watch for dips and trade smart, and that's this week's Cannabis Stock Report. Reporting for Weed Talk News, I'm Doug Miller.
That will wrap it up for the B block of Weed Talk News. We have one more section to go. It's called the C block for now. And we'll have more stories from states from all over the US and Canada, so don't go away.
It's a whole new world of weed out there, isn't it? Everyone is learning new ways to titrate, ingest, consume, imbibe, and engage with this plant medicine we call cannabis. Now, let me tell you my cannabis story. You know, I've had 4 major surgeries in the past 23 years and suffer from osteoarthritis with a variety of metal parts in my body and one on deck. Now, thanks to those chronic pain issues, I've been a medical patient in Massachusetts for almost 10 years now. I remember my first trip to a dispensary just outside of Boston, and I told the bud tender I didn't want to smoke it anymore. So I tried edibles, then tinctures, then vaping, and now if I'm going to smoke, I only use the Weegits filtration system. What? The Weegits.com, Weegits, that's weed, W-E-E-D, G-E-T-S.com, is where you'll find the planet's coolest product that cools the smoke from everyone's favorite flower. The guy that started this was a pretty good medical device manufacturer, and he created this maze pipe that cools the smoking process from 1,300 degrees Fahrenheit upon inflammation down to just 90 degrees when it reaches your mouth. That's right, 1,300 down to 90. That's why this maze pipe is amazing. Now, add in the code of PCMTV and you get 15% off. So just go to Weegits.com and check out the best way to enjoy a cooler smoke with less coughing and hacking and more peace of mind.